Hi there. 100 days without hair and fire. No more hair and fire. Let's get to work. Let's talk about how we get ourselves out of the situation we are in. Because the big bad bill is gonna pass. There's nothing we can really do about that. We don't have the votes. It's being done through budget reconciliation, so we can't filibuster it. We don't have a majority in the Senate. We don't have a majority in the House. And we sure as heck don't have the White House. So what are we gonna do? Well, obviously, the first thing we need to focus on is the 2026 election. It is all a numbers game. All that matters at this point is butts in seats. If we can get a majority in either chamber, we can at least put the brakes on legislation. But we won't be able to override a veto unless we have 2/3 vote in each house. That is nearly impossible right now. But there's something that requires only a majority and the president that we should talk about, and that is expanding the Supreme Court. The current Supreme Court was packed by Mitch McConnell. He says, oh, don't pack the court, don't add justices. So what he did is he took justices of a certain ideological far-right bent and shoved them and shoehorned them into the current court, which gave us our current 6-3 imbalance. They have gone after every sort of civil rights legislation that has come from the 20th century on downward. Labor protections, worker protections, antitrust. It's time to stop them. The only way we can stop them, because remember, justices serve for life in good behavior, absent a thing that we could impeach them for, is to expand the court and dilute their influence. Now, the court's been expanded several times before. The last time was, I believe, in 1869, and that's when it was set to the 9 justices to match the 9 circuits that are there. Now, currently we have 13 circuits and not 9. So what we really need to do is we need to undo Mitch McConnell's nasty handiwork. And that's going to mean shifting the ideologic balance of the court back to the center. At the very least, we should consider nominating 4 additional justices to make sure that we have 1 for each circuit court. That makes perfect sense. It's going to be very hard for people to argue with. We do need to consider what McConnell did. Now, when Obama wanted to appoint Merrick Garland, he said, oh, that's a whole year. That's way too close to the next election. And then when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died and early voting had already started, McConnell said, you know what, since I'm in charge of the Senate and the same party's in charge of the White House, who needs checks and balances? Let's go ahead and slam a justice in right now. And they did. And in doing so, they changed the ideologic makeup of the court. So at least one of the 2 seats that Gorsuch or Barrett sits in should be contested, because McConnell argued opposite sides of the same coin to shove both justices in there. So Mitch McConnell packed the court. We need to unpack it. Now, like I said, the least controversial number is 13 for 13 circuits. But I think the problem is people are going to be tempted to play this game back and forth, back and forth. So what we need to do is we need to expand the court so much that there is no way that anyone can do this again in one term. I think if Democrats expand the court and explain to the public clearly why they're doing it, to unpack Mitch McConnell's court packing and bring the court ideologically back to the center, everyday people understand how extreme the court is. A majority of Americans disapprove of the Supreme Court. A majority of Americans think the court is partisan. That's what we need behind us if we're to do this and have the moral authority to properly restore the court. So I want to say to every Democratic person running, you need to talk about expanding the Supreme Court.